Now to a man who is moving on after deciding years ago that somebody should feed Perth's needy. Doug Pailing set up the state's first Foodbank charity 16 years ago, and it's now grown so big that only supermarket chains like Coles and Woolworths are bigger. Unlike them, Foodbank gives food away to most of its customers through a distribution network. It's now become the fourth biggest food distributor in the state, feeding millions of people every year. Nikki Wilson-Smith caught up with Doug Pailing before he handed over the reins to a new CEO.
Yummy, 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 I got love in my tummy and I feel like I'm loving you.
It's another busy morning at the Foodbank. Upstairs, school teachers and charity workers are learning how to make healthy food for the people they care for.
Yeah, I'm the king of pasta.
You're the king of pasta, excellent.
Downstairs, needy people are helping themselves to groceries. And among the crowd, the man who has watched over this booming community organisation for the last 16 years is checking the supplies for the last time.
I often say that I sit in the vortex of the cyclone, and if you step off then you're in trouble because you're whirling around with everything else, but my job was actually feeding the cyclone, and that's what basically we did.
Doug Pailing started his career as an IT manager at the age of 19.
I was pretty hard-nosed and pretty driven, if you like, in the business when I was a very young manager, and the major event that happened was with my wife when she was giving birth to Sarah. I nearly lost both of them.
His life changed forever when his third daughter, Sarah, was born profoundly intellectually and physically disabled.
She is a big lesson in my life. It obviously impacts against the way you perceive things, and Sarah's given me the eyes of the child to look properly at the things that matter.
After reassessing his priorities and quitting the business world, Doug Pailing established the Foodbank in 1994. In his first week, he was handed the keys to a derelict paint store.
When I first got there, I was absolutely stunned because there were two buildings. One we didn't have access to at all, and the other one was an old paint shop which we actually clad, so there was no phone, there was no fax, there was no money. And I went from having quite a healthy bank balance or savings down to a position of being overdrawn very quickly. But it was economic stupidity for me, what I did, because I was the prime breadwinner, and having my disabled daughter and other family at home which we had to care for, but it was actually driven by the process.
In the first year, the organisation stopped 500,000 kilos of usable food from ending up in landfill, diverting it from factories and supermarkets. And that success, coupled with the community support, inspired the CEO to keep forging ahead.
There's a message in the early days on the answering machine, and a lady rang up and said, "You don't know me, but I just wish to say thank you, for caring for our family."
Over the past 16 years, Doug Pailing has grown the organisation to an all-encompassing nutritional centre, providing 2.3 million kilos of food to those in need, with 4 major centres across the state, breakfast programs in close to 300 schools, and educational programs for frontline services. But each day has come with challenges.
I had a Mauritian farmer ring up, and he was very heavily French accented, and I hadn't understood totally until the end of the conversation what I just accepted, which was 500 chickens, and they were live. And I thought, what have I done this time? Anyway, I threw myself on the immersives of a chicken processor, and we picked the birds up by 10 o'clock, and by 2 o'clock all the birds have been processed. So it's an interesting life.
But that interesting life has outgrown Doug Pailing, and a new manager with greater business skills is stepping in. And he's got big shoes to fill.
He's been here for 16 years. It's like handing over your own son or daughter to somebody else to look after and guide going forward. So, yeah, it's huge. Some of the networks and relationships he's built, I sometimes sit to myself and think, how am I going to pick them up and pick them up quick enough to do the right thing by Foodbank?
Here at the Foodbank, the changeover is complete, and the organisation's new CEO, Greg Hebel, plans to double the volume of food distributed over the next 3 years.
We've got a great steady foundation, but there's the opportunity to be able to work with manufacturers and suppliers about securing more food for the people in need in West Australia.
Charities say they couldn't continue without that help.
We're an agency that 50% of our income comes from donations. So since the recession, donations have gone down. So it's really important that we can get food from Foodbank at a cheaper price.
And while Foodbank continues to feed Perth's poor, Doug Pailing is plotting his next move, a new charity to feed the remote communities of WA.
I suppose the thing changed my heart totally, and having a look over a number of years, I guess that I'm a lot more gentler and more compassionate than I would when I started Foodbank. I've got the faith to throw myself off mountains and I hope I've got wings. I have to date, but whether I have in the future will remain to be seen.
No plans to stop helping?
Not really. I think whatever's in your heart's in your heart.